Okay, here's my little project. I'm using Love2D for something that is not a game. It's a project for my laser cutter, because the laser cutting software that I use is not doing things that I want to do, and I want to do things my way. So actually I wrote a couple of Lua scripts already a year or years ago. And I was thinking for a long time that I would like to have a user interface for these scripts. And so this is my attempt at that. I am creating a software in Love2D, and I'm using Love2D for a little bit something that it's not designed to, I guess. Firstly, I am writing this user interface system, which is quite versatile. I think this is the first interesting part, that it's an extensible system. So I wrote, for instance, the lists here that are scrollable, and I have all sorts of components that are being attached. You can write and extend components super easily. Gonna see what it does. And I think this is the first part that is maybe interesting for others. It's currently not open source. I still have this as my private repository, but I intend to open source it. And the second thing that is interesting is I have hot code reloading. So when I am changing something, like for instance, I want to remove an icon, let's say here, or place it differently. Let's remove it. Maybe you haven't noticed, but there's an icon missing now. I can undo this. So now the icon is back, because what happens is the entire game gets unloaded and reloaded again. That is, I think, something very interesting, because it enables you to exchange code and test code very quickly. I mean, this is a very simple case because I still have only one single state. And in order to make hot code reloading work when you are in the middle of the game running, it's a different story. Because currently it just unloads everything and reloads everything. But one thing that you may also notice is that while it does not retain the UI setup, it does retain the changes I'm making to the node setup. And this is being done by a serialization system, which is, I think, another interesting part. I hope it works. I only finished that last weekend, and it's still being tested, but the serialization works that way. I have a document structure which uses the usual class system that I have dropped in. And I am passing to the serialize system just serialize this. So serialization happens in the app main state. So I have an enter and exit event on the main state. And on the exit state, I am saving the current document to a string. And I'm writing it also right now to disk, because I don't want to set it up every time I restart Love2D, which does not happen that often anymore, but still. And this is the loading state. And it restores also the objects themselves. So the meta tables are being restored. And in theory, it should enable me to just save the document as it is and restore it. And I can just continue. It's actually not unlike as the system that is in game engines such as Unity. So this is actually the format that it creates. So this is the exiting message. It's reloading, and it's displaying me the text that was being serialized. And that's one thing. And I think that concludes most of the interesting parts of this project so far. Can show maybe a little bit how I'm working on a feature, which is going to be interesting because what I'm currently trying to do is I want to be able to connect things. So I want to connect this output node with this thing. I already have coded the system that I am drawing a line here, which works by creating a UIRect, which is the basic component or basic entity. It's an entity component system. And this UIRect is drawn in front of everything. So that you get an idea how it looks like. I have my overlay rect here, which does the drawing. I can just add another component, which is the, let's use the rect fill component. And I can just specify a color. Let's say I take, this is also Pico 8 color scheme, so there's 16 colors. And now you see, this is a component that overdraws everything. And when I'm clicking on that component again, it just deactivates everything. And the thing that I need to figure out now is I want to get the UIRect beneath the cursor, but there is the overlay in front. Now, this is of course not so simple for anyone else, but I know that in the UI system there is a hits list. And this hits list is all the components that were beneath the mouse, if I'm not mistaken. Could be that the hierarchy itself is something else. Where do I actually get the hits from? Oh, on the root I collect the hits for X and Y after layouting. How nice. Let's do it like that. And maybe the easiest thing would be to collect the hits myself, just without exposing that. So when the mouse is over location, I need now not the root, and I also don't want to make any layouting. I need this scroll rect content, right? And here, this is the one that I need. So on the scroll rect content, I will collect the hits. And now I need to also compute the local space coordinates, which is not so straightforward. I mean, there's the to world. Is there also to local? It's never needed that functionality, so let's extend that now to local. So the input is now How can I convert the coordinate to a local space? As fast as possible, or as simple as possible. Let's take the easiest way. So let's do it this way. Use the rect, and while rect dot parent do rect equals rect dot parent. This is one of those cases where I want to actually repeat until not rect. And now I can just parents set to self to rect. And when I have, somehow I think I don't need the list, but yeah, difficult to figure this out while talking. For we start at the root element, which is the last element here. And now I take xy equals x plus parents I dot, you know the type, would be helpful. It's a UIRect array. Now it knows x. Is this right? Position. Actually, this must be subtracted, I believe. Parents. Okay. And then we return x and y. Will this work? Thanks to being on the overlay and overlaying everything, the mouse coordinates are already in world coordinates, so all I need to do is local x and local y equals document scroll area, scroll content to local mx my. Let's print out that coordinate pair to see if it could be true. Doesn't print anything. Right, because it's not mouse over. But what's it called? Is mouse over? No. What are the magic things? Mouse enter, mouse is mouse over. That's the method. It's not a good name. Maybe it's not even that name. Yeah, it is. So is this really the local coordinate space? And it looks very much like that. Good. So now I have the local coordinates. And I can collect for this my hits. And how do I identify something? If number of hits greater than 0, then print out the first thing. This will just print out a useless useless UIRect info. What I need is some kind of an identificator. I mean, this is an output rect. If I am over another output rect, let's colorize this thing from yellow to red. And for that, I just need to flag the output rect with something. This output port true. Now I can I actually don't know if it's the last of the first element here, so let's just print that out. Oh, it's true. That's true here as well. So I can now identify output rects, output ports. So now I can make a flag that I want to colorize the line as red. Is valid target, or actually it's the target. Current target. So, and hits one dot is output port, then assign this to the current target. And if current target, or if not current target, then colorize this thing yellow. That's if current target dot is output port, then colorize this as red. Let's connect it. I never ever set it to something else, so this is expected. That's good. And now I need to identify input ports. So the input port is currently not having anything here. And I think I don't want to rewrite this thing here. So let's say it has either. And this would be just a port. And its output port is input port. And that's just like that. And how do I know this is good or bad? So if this output port and prop dot has output. Okay, somewhere I have put T. And else if Tim. This is not smart, because then I have to, yeah. Okay, let's be dumb. Sometimes being dumb is also okay. Same color. And the obvious combination is this is then an acceptable target point. Interesting. I currently have... Ah, okay, I understand. So prop dot has output, then add this component here, else if prop dot has input, this should be true then. Use input here. And this calculation needs to be conditional as output and or -8. And this thing here must be deleted. Now that is also... Ooh, and it becomes green. Very nice. Does it work in that direction as well? It doesn't. That's funky. Because right now here, this needs or hits one dot is input port. Now that feature is almost complete. Now I need to trigger an event. Well, actually, no, the feature is very far from being complete. What I need to do now is that when I'm making this connection here on click, I need to tell the document that there's a connection. And the entire system does not exist yet. So I will do this the next days, that I connect these things. But I think this gives a good insight about live coding in the system. And I like this very much. This is a very nice system to work with here, and a lot of fun to work out features on the go while concurrently testing them and yeah, figuring out where the errors are. It's a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed this video.